I just came back from a 5 week long trip to Russia, and I have to say that Russia is the most beautiful country on earth. If you've never been to Russia, and if you live in the Western world, then you probably think that Russia is some kind of a backwards country, where the people live in a dictatorship, where there is no freedom of speech, where the quality of life is terrible, where the people are poor, they have no money, there is no food in the stores, where the Western sanctions are killing the Russian economy. However, all of that is a complete lie. It is propaganda. Spending 5 weeks in Russia, you see architecture that is unparalleled anywhere else in the world. Okay? Moscow is the most beautiful city on this planet. Prove me wrong. The architecture in Moscow is amazing. The metro system is more advanced than anything else you've ever seen in your life. The food, the food, living in Canada for 7 years, I've forgotten what good food tastes like. Okay? I came back to Canada yesterday. I went to a restaurant. Oh my god, I wanted to puke. Food in Canada, the restaurants are garbage compared to Moscow, compared to Russia. Not only is it cheaper, it is better. Okay? Being in Russia for 5 weeks, you realize that there is absolutely zero chance that Russia will lose this war. Why? Because the Russians are united and they're fighting for a reason. They're fighting to protect their country, to protect our country, the most beautiful country, okay? Russia is amazing. There is no words in the English language to describe the experience of spending 5 weeks in Russia. I've met so many soldiers who fought against Ukraine, and they are so wise, they're so collected, they're not afraid, okay? They are happy to put down their lives and die for their country because they have something worth of protecting. Meanwhile, here in the West, what is there to fight for? LGBT? What? What is there to fight for in the West? Endless migration? LGBTQ? Godlessness? There is nothing worth dying for in the West. But spending 5 weeks in Russia? Oh my god. I don't even know where to begin, okay? For starters, Russians remember our history. All over Moscow, on every street corner, there is a World War II statue, a World War II memorial, a Вечный огонь, which is an internal fire, burning always in the memory of people who died in World War II. There is a store on every corner. Meanwhile, here in Canada, you have to drive for 20 miles to the nearest freaking store. In Russia, you go down, you leave your house, and there's 20 freaking stores right around the corner. Okay? The subway system is advanced, the public transportation system is advanced, everything is cheap, everything is accessible. It's amazing. It's amazing. Meanwhile, here in Canada, God, it's just coming back to Canada. I feel as though I've went back in time. Every person in Russia has a picture of their great grandfather or their grandfather who fought in World War II with military uniform, with a bunch of medals on their uniform. In Russia, the people are not fake like here in Canada, okay? Here in Canada, I've never sat down with somebody over a bottle of beer and had a heart-to-heart conversation about our lives. Meanwhile, in Russia, I feel as though I'm genuinely connecting with people. It's not a fake conversation. Hello, how are you? Good, how are you? All right, see you tomorrow. Or like some garbage like it's here in Canada. In Russia, you sit down and you have a heart-to-heart feeling. Russians get deep in your soul and I don't even know how to describe it in English, okay? Russian people are not fake. When you talk to somebody in Russia, they genuinely care about you. You genuinely care about them, and the conversation is real. It is not fake, it is deep down in your feelings. Meanwhile, here in Canada, I'm sorry to say this, everybody's fake. Everybody's like smiling, they're fake smiling to your face, but then they shit talk you to your back. In Russia, everybody's real. Russia is real, okay? Canada is fake. Everybody talks about how little money Russians make, right? Let's take the average Russian salary. Not in Moscow, but the average salary across all of Russia is around 50,000 rubles, right? Which is like $900 Canadian. And you're gonna say, oh my god, $900 Canadian a month? That's so little. Yeah? Let's say you're living in Canada, you're making $5,000 a month, which is already very good. In Canada, your rent is going to be $1,500, $500 for utilities, $500 for groceries, $500 for your car loan, $500 for your what is it called, student loans. At the end of the day, even though you're making on paper $5,000 a month in Canada, after your crazy rent, your insane expenses, you have like $200 left. Okay? Meanwhile, in Russia, if you're making 40,000 rubles, which is $800 Canadian, you're gonna have an apartment, a nice apartment, for like 10,000 rubles a month. Your car is gonna be like 5,000 rubles a month. Okay? Food's gonna be like 5,000 rubles a month. So you're gonna have 20 to 30,000 rubles a month left after all of your expenses, which is like this much in Russia to live off on. Or in Canada, if you're making $5,000 a month after all of your expenses, your crazy rent, you're gonna have like $200 left. Where in Russia, if you're making $800 Canadian a month after all of your expenses, the same exact expenses that you'd have in Canada, the same exact lifestyle, you will have $600 left. All the expenses in Canada, rent, student loans, food, car loan, will come out to like $4,500 a month. Meanwhile, in Russia, it'll come out to like 20,000 rubles, like $200. Okay, for the same exact thing. So at the end of the month, you will have like 600 Canadian left in, converting it to Canadian from Russian money. Meanwhile, in Canada, you'll have $200 left. What the fuck? Rent is crazy expensive. Food is crazy expensive, even though it's garbage. It's insane. It's insane. There is absolutely zero upside of living in Canada. Zero.